Hi friends, welcome to my North Knit Corner. My name is Anne and I come to you from the south of Norway. Here I live with my husband and our 3 boys. And this is a knitting podcast. Here I talk about knitting every other week. And I hope that if you love knitting as much as I do, that you want to find some coffee or tea, find your knitting or crocheting and sit down and spend some time together with me while I talk about what's on my needles and what I have finished since the last episode. You are so welcome if you have been here before, and welcome if you are here for the first time. I hope you will like it here. I have information about everything I talk about in the description box below this episode, and I also have timestamps on this episode, so you can easily skip the parts that you don't want to see, or skip to the parts you want to see. Yeah, I hope that is helpful. Okay, I think that we will just start with the FOs. I have a few FOs to talk about today, and I think that we can start with the socks here. If I can get them off the wall. These are the Julemorgen Socks, Christmas morning socks by Vivian Aas. This pattern is only in Norwegian, so I'm very sorry about that. But it's a sock pattern that comes with several different diagrams with different motifs. So I have chosen trees, but there are reindeer. I think there is snowflakes and hearts. Yeah, I'm not sure if there are more. And also there are different charts for you can have cables on the top of the sock, or you can have fisherman's strip on the sock. Yeah. So it's a pattern with a lot of different options in. So that is great. It's supposed to be knitted with 1 fingering, I think, and 1 lace. Or is it DK and lace? No, I think it's fingering and lace. But I have knitted with 2 strands of fingering sock yarn. This golden one is a sock yarn from Mamba's håndfargede garn, Norwegian hand dyer, and together with Mrs. Fox yarn, thin shawl yarn, which is not a sock yarn, but is with silk and cashmere. And the heel is Drops Fabel, 2 strands of that. And in the trees I've used Drops Flora together with a sock yarn from Unique Garn called Fruit Nut. And all of these are scraps that I've used, so that feels very good. I have knitted these on the size needles. I just have to see in my notes, sorry. 3 millimeters, US 2.5, 3.5 millimeters, US 4, and 4 millimeters, US 6. So it's many different needle sizes, but that is just because I started to knit with the wrong size on the cuff. I started with 3 millimeters and I was supposed to use 3.5. So I just did that on both the socks, but it's only the ribbing on the cuff that is in 3 millimeters. And then I used 4.5 millimeters on the collar work to not get it too tight. And then it's 3.5 millimeters on the rest of the sock. I managed to do some mistakes on the color work and I didn't see it before they were blocking. So I have to note that I have to check my color work as I knit it so I don't get mistakes, because you can see it here that this is not a tree. I don't know what is this thing here. It's supposed to be a tree, but it's not. But oh well, these socks are for me, so I don't care. I'm making myself a box of Christmas socks this year, so they will just go in there and wait until Christmas comes. They weigh 85 grams, so that feels very good to use up some scraps and get some socks. The only thing I feel is a bit weird with these are the way you're supposed to pick up your stitches for the foot after you knit the heel flap and gusset. You get this line, or this thick kind of line here. You see it? And I don't really understand. I saw another Norwegian podcaster talk about these socks and she had the same line. So I feel that's very strange. So maybe next time I knit these socks, because I want to knit the other diagrams as well, and I will just pick up as I usually do, so I don't get that line, because I didn't really like that. And on the front of the sock is I think it is called fisherman's rib. It's when you pick up in the stitch below and knit. Yeah. And I didn't have enough of this golden yarn, so in the toe I used Drops Fabel and thin shawl yarn for the toe. Yeah, just to get all my scraps used up, and that feels very good. I've been on the hunt for a really good and warm hat for the cold weather that we have now. My husband has been complaining that the hat I have knitted for him is not so warm and that the wind goes through it. So I tried to knit a weekend hat by Petite Knit, and I started it last, I think I showed it as a whip in my last episode, and now it's done. And I've knitted this in Sandnes Per Gynt, 100% Norwegian wool, in the color of white with the tweed. The number of this yarn is 2523. I've knitted the size small adult, and I've knitted on 3.5mm needles, US 4, and it weighs 125 grams. And my husband thinks this is really good and warm, so I'm very pleased. I was thinking of knitting this, or this was supposed to be for me, but I think he will get it instead, and I will knit myself a new one. It has this triple brim, and it's just ribbing. I'm sorry, my words are slow today. It's ribbing forever. So it's not the most fun knit, but it makes a really nice and warm hat. So a triple brim that you just fold up. So, and Per Gynt is a really warm, it's a really warm fabric. You get the really warm fabric. Yeah. Now, yeah, I really like this hat, and I am definitely going to make myself one. So I'm just not sure what color I should pick. So if you have a suggestion for a color that you think suits me, I would love to hear it, because I just don't know what color I should choose. But yeah, this is a great pattern, and I really recommend the pattern. So it's really, really nice. And I knitted one more, and this is only scraps. I had a lot of Peer Gynt scraps from my Celeste sweater that I will talk about later, and I just took those colors. So I had some left of the tweed, and then I just used the others for... There is some Sanne Smart in here too, but I don't remember which color. I think it's the light color here that is Sanne Smart, but the rest is Peer Gynt. So I knitted this in the size 3 to 9 years on 3.5mm needles, and this weighs 150 grams, 15 grams. Yeah. When I change color, I always knit one row of stockinette to make a seamless what's the word in English? To make it seamless to the next color. I hope that makes sense. And when I did that, I forgot that you're folding the brim. So this is, you get this line. So when I folded this up, then I got this line. It doesn't really matter with this one, because I'm going to fold it again, so this will be on the inside. But I had done it here as well. And then you saw the line, so I just had to rip back and do it again. That's, yeah, that was okay. You can see the line here on the top too, but I didn't really want it to rip back that far. So yeah, that's okay. I don't think you will see it when you have it on. I didn't have enough yarn to do all the... You decrease a row and then you knit a row for a long time, and I didn't have enough yarn to do that, so I just decreased really rapidly in the end, and that's okay. I was thinking my son could use this, my son that is 8 years old. Excuse me. But he thinks this hat is too warm. So yeah, I don't know if he's going to use it, but if not, we can gift it or something like that. But it feels good to have used up all the Peer Gynt yarn. So that was another weekend hat, and I will definitely knit more of these, because it was a really good pattern. But it is, I can only wear this when it's really cold outside. This is not for most days. But when we have, like we have now, I think today it was -6 degrees Celsius, and we have had -20, -25, then these are very handy to protect our ears. But since my son didn't want this hat, then I wanted to knit him another one, because he had a Musselburgh hat that he loved. And right before Christmas he was out sleighing on the snow, and when he was going down the hill, he fell over into these what are they called? This big box with there's a flame on it. I have to find out what that is called. If you just have patience with me. Maybe you can go get a coffee or a tea while you wait. Let's see, fackelbox. Maybe Google can tell me. Torch box. Is that right? That sounds really strange. Torch box. Okay, well, it is like a torch, I guess, with a flame, and you have this styrene candle wax in. Okay. Long story. So he came down the hill, he fell into this torch box with all this candle wax in, and he got it on his hat. Luckily he didn't get it in his eyes or anything like that, so that would be so scary and bad. But it was all over his hat, and that was his favorite hat. He used it all the time. That was really sad. So we tried to get the wax off with iron and food paper. Maybe you don't call it food paper, we do. The paper you use to wrap your lunch in. But yeah, so it melted, and I washed the hat, but it's still very stiff where the wax have been, so it's not very comfortable. So I just knitted him another Musselburgh hat from Isolde Teague. Here it is. It's the hat which is the long tube that everyone in the knitting podcast Instagram world has talked about several times, so I won't go into it again. But I've knitted the size child, small adult, with 2 strands of fingering yarn on needles 3.5 for US needles, 3.5 millimeters, US 4. I feel I talk really fast, so I apologize. I will try to slow down. Yes, so I've used a strand of my own hand-dyed yarn, and I've also used a strand of sock yarn from Garnfene, a Norwegian hand dyer, which is called, the color is called Witch Hour, with stellina in it. And on the other end, because this was scraps, all of it, except for them from the skein I had dyed myself. So I used some, or I knitted as long as I could with one color, and then I had to change. So I used some yarn that I was gifted from one of you lovely viewers. So I used that on the top of his hat, so he can choose if he wants to wear it like this or like this. And with stellina, because my son loves the sparkles. Yeah, so hopefully he will enjoy this, because it's the same thickness and the same hat pattern as the one that got destroyed. This weighs 119 grams. Yes. So now he can get it. I don't think he knows that I've knitted it for him, so hopefully he will be happy. Okay, so highly recommend the Musselburgh hat pattern. If you haven't tried it, it is my go-to hat pattern. And maybe this will be too, the weekend hat, because I like them both. All right, my last FO for today is what I am wearing, and it's the Dartmoor Sweater by Kadri. And for over a year now I have been planning that I want to knit a Moby sweater by Petite Knit with leftover mohair scraps that I had laying around. I had so much mohair scraps. I weighed them up, and without the whole balls of mohair that I had, only scraps, it was when I weighed them and divided on 25 grams, since mohair often comes in 25 grams balls, I had over 11 whole balls of mohair in that scrap pile, so it was a lot. So I wanted to use it because I've been inspired by all of the people who have knitted the Moby sweater with leftover mohair. But when I was going to cast it on finally, I found out that I don't really want the Moby sweater. I think the color is too thick, and yeah, I just figured I don't think I'm going to use that sweater very much. But what made me want to knit it was to use all my mohair scraps. So I went to Ravelry and tried to find some other patterns that I could use my scraps for, and I decided I want to try and knit the Dartmoor sweater with mohair scraps. That is not as easy as it is with the Moby sweater that I think is knitted in the round. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think I am. But I don't have the pattern, so I'm not sure. But anyway, this is knitted in several parts in the beginning because it's a dropped shoulder, which I love so much. So it was difficult to distribute the mohair so it looks like it's one cohesive palette in a way. But I loved to knit this project for the first okay, now I'm translating my Norwegian sentences into English, and that doesn't work. Yeah. I loved this pattern so much. It's just so wonderful, and it's a fun construction. Yeah, highly recommend it. And I really want to knit it again if I can. And not with scraps, but actually buy yarn for the project. Anyway, I used Drop Snor as a base yarn for this in the color 3 light gray, so I hold that color all through the sweater, together with 5 strands of mohair, which was the amount I needed to get gauge, on 5 and 5.5 millimeter needles, which is US 8 and 9. So pretty thick needles, and I think the gauge is 15 stitches on 10 centimeters or 4 inches. So pretty thick yarn. Bulky weight, I think, and on thick needles. So I took 5 strands of mohair, and then I only changed one color at the time. I didn't have a plan for when I was going to change, but I just randomly changed one color or one strand, so you get like a seamless change in a way, which was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed seeing how the color changed, and I was a bit scared if it would be just really bad, like it wouldn't look nice at all, but I think it turned out really good. For the arms, which I really wanted to have the arms like similar, I knitted on both almost on the same time. Like I knitted some rows on the one arm with the 5 strands of mohair, and when I was going to change for the next color, I knitted the same 5 colors here. Then I changed color, I knitted a while, and then I went back to this and knitted with the new color here. Changed again, knitted a bit, and did the same. So I always knew which color I had on both sides. So I think I managed to get them pretty similar. Yeah. I'm really pleased with how it turned out. So it's light on the back. So it's not totally similar on the front and back. I did some. I thought it was logic in my head, but when I started to knit, it didn't. It didn't become like I thought. Because you knit like the back and then you pick up for this side and this side. So I had some trouble with that, but I don't think it really matters that it's light on the back here and not on the front here. That's okay, I think. This weighs 630 grams, so I used up so much mohair. I still have some left, but it's I used a lot, so I'm so happy with getting that out of my stash and into this sweater that I really, really love. It's so comfortable to have on. I love the construction. I love the drop shoulder. It's like a big hug to wear. And I thought that this was going to be really, really warm, but actually it's not bad. And I'm sitting here with 3 lamps, like this big square lamps, which is really warm. But I am not feeling very, very warm like I thought I would. So I'm happy about that. It's still pretty airy and nice and really soft, which I really like. The only thing, if I am going to complain about something, I think maybe I don't like this wide opening on the neck here. The Moby sweater I felt was too close and had too thick of a color. Here I think it's maybe a bit too open. You can choose to, I have only knitted a single ribbing. You could make a folded neckline too, but I thought maybe that would be too warm, so I went for the single one. Maybe I could have preferred that it was a bit closer to my neck, but maybe at the same time this is what makes it not so warm, that I have some air here, and I just have to get used to it. And of course I could wear a scarf or a shawl around my neck, which would be really nice, but I'm just not used to wearing shawls and scarves inside. I think it's really cool. I like when other people wear it, but I feel like it looks like I'm going outside, that it's not natural for me to wear a shawl inside. But that is just something I'm not used to, so yeah. But I do love this, and it has this cool detail all the way on the side of the arm and up the shoulder on the back. Maybe I will put in some footage where you can see how it looks when I have it on and I'm standing, because yeah, you don't get the right impression when I just sit here. knitted the size small. I don't know if I said that, and it's perfect for me. Yeah, I'm really happy with the size I chose, and I did get gauged on this one. That feels really good. Let's see what I have on my needles. I have a few things, and if you were here last time, I showed you that I had started on a dress. I am knitting the Mamba dress from Ullen Knitwear. I am knitting it in Drops Lima in the color light gray 9010 on needles 3.5 and 3.75 millimeter needles, US 4 and US 5, and I'm knitting the size 1. And here it is. Last time I had knitted until this cute little fox here, and now I've knitted from here and up here. So there have been some progress, but it takes a long time. But it looks really nice. I think I do love the cables on this one. Yeah, I'm knitting the size 1 because of I knit so loosely, so my gauge is way off, and I am a bit scared that size 1 will be too big as well, but I'm crossing my fingers. So I hope you will do too for me. Because yeah, I really want this dress, and I don't know what I could do to make it smaller, because I can knit on smaller needles, of course, but I don't want to. I like the fabric this makes, and so in the pattern it's supposed to be knitted with a fingering and a lace, I believe, and I have chosen a different yarn, so of course that will affect the gauge, but also I knit so loose that it's I don't think I would have I don't think that I would have gotten the right gauge with the recommended yarn either. So we will work with what we got. And if this turns out too big for me, then I will gift it to someone else, and I will try again, because I really want this dress and I really enjoy knitting on it. And to make myself not get tired of this knit, I only knit a little bit every day. I knit through the chart, through one whole chart every day. I try to do it every day. It hasn't been every day, but almost. But one chart is only a few centimeters, so it doesn't go really fast, and I am only halfway on the length, so I have to knit all of this length one more time before I can split before I can start the body. And I think you knit the front and the back separately. I'm not sure, but I think you do. So yeah, it's quite a bit of knitting, but I enjoy it and I really want this dress, so I'm excited to keep knitting on it and not stressing to get it done. So I would love to have it this winter, but I am sure that it has to be for next winter instead, and that's okay. Is there anything else that I want to say? I don't think so. So I think this will be a whip for quite some time, but that is okay. Then we have the Celeste Sweater, which I also showed you last time, and it's still on the needles. And in this very nice bag that says Ingen bare det du ser, which means no one is only what you see, which is true. So it's a bag I got from my very good friend for Christmas. In here it's the Celeste Sweater by Petite Knit. I've knitted this in Sandnes Per Gynt, and I can tell you the colors. It's Marzipan 2321, Golden Brown 2564, and Eucalyptus 2564. And I also use one strand of Sandnes Smart, which is 2542 Camel. And here it is. And I do really like the colors I've chosen. And like I said last time, I really enjoy knitting on this. It was so much fun to knit the color work. And when I split for sleeves, I just did the sleeves right away to avoid sleeve island. I think it's a good way to just be done with the arms, and when you are done with the body, you are done. You don't have to pick up for the sleeves. So they are done. And I was thinking that this would be a finished project today, but I knitted the whole body, and I was going to start on the what's it called? Ribbing. I was going to start the ribbing, but I wanted to try it on first, so I did. And oh boy, that was not fun at all. It really fits me great on the top, over the bust, and everything was perfect. And then it was really strange to see, because in the beginning after the color work, everything was nice. I had the right gauge and everything, and then it turns like here, let's say this is the top and the gauge is right, and then I just mess up the gauge. I just knit looser and looser, just like this. It looked like a skirt. It was not good. So it's really strange. You can see where I was awake and full of energy, and where I just get tired and more tired and more tired and don't have any energy. And you see it in my knitting. It's really weird and frustrating. So I had to, of course, rip it all back until right under the sleeve separation, because I knitted the sleeves. Yeah, and I just had to figure out what to do, which was not so easy, because how can I be sure that I will knit the right gauge? I can't. I don't even understand how it's possible to knit in one moment, knit the right gauge, and in the next be so off. And I tried to change for thinner needles. So these are 3.5 millimeter and 4 millimeter needles, and 4.5 millimeters I've used. So use 4, 6, and 7. I've used 7 on the color work, and now on the body I'm knitting with 4 millimeters. And I tried to go down for I think maybe 3 millimeter needles, but you could see a definite line where I had changed needles, so that wasn't working. So I ripped back again. It was only a couple of centimeters, and went back to 4 millimeter needles. And what I've been doing, I've been decreasing in the sides every now and then to try and make it more fitted for me, or so it won't be like a tent. And I'm not sure if that's stupid to do or not, but I did try it again yesterday, and it looks really nice in the front. In the back it still feels like it's a bit too big, but that is very strange because it's the same amount of stitches in the front as in the back. So I'm a bit unsure what to do. Should I split the hem? Can that help? Like make a split hem? Or can I do a rapid decrease round before I start my ribbing to make it like it will be like a bit poofy in the bottom and then tight around the waist? Or is that not nice at all? I did that on a summer tee and it looks really good, but maybe not for this, I don't know. Or should I just keep on knitting and hope for the best and hope that when I wash it and block it, it will be softer and not as stiff, so it will be more drapey like this one. It's big too, but it's really just laying really nicely, even though it has positive ease. I don't know. I really just don't know, and that's why this project that was so fun and gave me so much joy is not so much fun anymore. I really want this sweater. I love this color work so much. I can't wait to have this sweater, but I don't know what to do. Yeah. So we'll see. If you have any thoughts, I really appreciate all of your help. Yeah, I really do. So we'll see. But this will be a very warm sweater. This is very weird for me, but this, which is knitted in Per Gynt, and this sweater that has so much mohair in it, this is less warm, I think, than this. When I had this on yesterday and tried it on, it was so warm and more compact, if that's I don't know if that's the right way to say, but it felt so compact and warm. Like this is going to be a sweater for outside, I think. But this is really airy and nice and not as warm as I expected, so that's a bit fun to not to see, but to, yeah. All right, let's just move on from that to something else, to some socks. Socks are always fun. I try to always have a pair of socks on my needles this year. It's a goal to knit more socks for me, and I do enjoy knitting socks. And my 15-year-old son, he got a pair of TARDIS socks for Christmas from me, and my husband and my oldest son too. But my youngest oldest son, my 15-year-old, he wears those socks all the time, in his boots, inside, all of the time, and it makes me so happy. But those socks, they don't look so nice anymore. Even though it's only been a couple of months since I knitted them, they now look really bad. They are so full of bubbles, or they are so peely, and yeah, you can see that he has really been wearing the heck out of those socks. So he needs more. And of course he will have more socks. Hopefully he will love them just as much as the TARDIS socks. But these are just regular vanilla socks. I used the free pattern from the Crazy Sock Lady, which is called DK Weight Vanilla Socks, I think. Free pattern on Ravelry. It's a really great and easy pattern. Yeah, I knit the size, I think it's 3 sizes, and I'm knitting the medium size for him. And I use Yarbo Merino Raggi, which is this color changing sock yarn. It's a DK sock yarn. Together, I didn't know if this would be enough yarn, so I used a different yarn for the heel. This is hand-dyed merino single yarn from Mrs. Fox Yarn called Blueberry. And that is not a sock yarn, but I'm holding it together with Drops Fabel in the color 107 Blue. So I think it will be sturdy or strong enough, and to not be, since the one yarn is not sock yarn. But anyway, yeah, so I'm knitting on this now and then, 2 at a time, because I really like to knit 2 at a time to avoid any second sock syndrome. And yeah, it's fun to knit with color changing yarn. These are very easy. No fuff. Is that, I don't know. Yeah. No stress with these, but I managed to do something wrong anyway, because I'm me. That's just how I roll. I'm knitting the size medium, 3.5mm needles, US 4, but I managed to knit the heel for the smallest size, so I have totally wrong amount of stitches on the heel, but I have the right amount of stitches all in all, but it's just that the heel is a bit, more narrow, but I think it will be okay anyway. I hope so. I was just talking to a friend when I did the heels, and I don't know how I managed to do it, so to get the wrong amount of stitches for the heel, but oh well, I did it. So hopefully they will fit him and be used a lot as well. So that is the socks that I have on the needles, and then I will cast on a project that I have had in my plans for so long, and it's the Shift by Andrea Mowry. I have this beautiful hand spun yarn from Brie in Doodlebug Yarn Co, which is just so amazing and beautiful. I use this for my Shifty sweater, but I had so much left, it hardly used any yarn. So now I'm knitting the Shift cowl, and this is how far I have come. Not so far. A Norwegian podcaster that I was watching yesterday, she had it on, and it's perfect. I can't wait to have this cowl. Maybe I could use it over this sweater. Maybe. Anyway, I'm using also Drops Flora in the color 4, medium gray, together with this. And Drops Flora is it alpaca and wool? Yes, I think it's a blend of alpaca and wool, so it's really soft. Soft and nice, no itch. Yes, I'm using size 3 millimeters, US 2.5 for this. And it's just so much fun to knit on this. I really enjoy this, and it looks a bit complicated maybe, but it's not. You only just use one strand of yarn at a time, and then you use you lift stitches to get this mosaic knitting, I think it is. It's a bit low contrast with the dark handspun and the grey. So I did take a black and white picture just to see, and it is really low, but I don't think it matters that much, and you can see the texture anyway. So yeah, I think it will be nice, and it will be a bit not really in your face colors, but very nice and neutral in a way. So I really enjoy knitting on this. The pattern is great. It's a lot of fun. The only thing I don't really like is when I have to purl, but that is just a row in between, so I can live with that. And I don't have any more whips in my notes, but yesterday evening I got the urge to cast on something. You know that urge, you just suddenly have to, you get really like, I need to cast on something, or at least I do. And this was just, I written this as a plan in my notes for this episode, but I just cast on. So for a few weeks ago, I was just thinking about the scraps that I have, because I think it's been so much fun to use the scraps for my sweater, for the hat that I knitted, and I knew I had some Drops Flora yarn left in white and green, and I just really want to use up that yarn. So I was thinking about a striped sweater or a striped top. I don't know how much yarn I have and if I have enough, but I just found the yarn, and I think I found out that I had about 3 balls of white and almost 2 balls of green. So I was looking at patterns and trying to figure this out. This is a fingering weight yarn. It's 210 meters on 50 grams. But I really didn't want to buy a new pattern for this. Since I'm using scraps, I like to use some patterns I already have or something that was free. And I had the Flax light sweater in my Ravelry library. And the Flax light, it is a free pattern from Tin Can Knit. I think it's made to be as easy as possible to be knitted by anyone with little or a lot of experience. So I decided to use that as a base, so use the stitch count and everything, and see if I can make a top or a sweater out of the yarn I have. So I cast on yesterday. It's not very much. I'm using the color 4. No? Oh, sorry, I haven't written up that, of course, because I didn't write notes for this. But this is the green one is color 23. I think it's called Misty Green. And this one, I'm not sure what color number it is, but it's white anyway. And I cast on for the size. Yeah, of course I haven't written anything. I keep looking in my notes, but I haven't no notes for this one. I think it's a size called SM, small, medium maybe. Yeah, it's a lot of sizes in this pattern. It starts from baby to, yeah, it's a lot of sizes, which is good. I know it's the size 10 if you count from the smallest and up. This is size number 10. Yeah, it's not really much to show you. I just cast on and knit a row, and I decided to use the version where you pick up for the neck. If that was the smart thing to do, I don't know, but you also have an option to start with the ribbing for the neck and then keep on knitting on the body. But I was thinking that I would pick up for the neck. We'll see if that is smart or not. I am knitting on needles 3 millimeters. Yeah, and I am a very loose knitter, so knitting with thin yarn, one strand of fingering is not very smart for me, maybe because it gets really holey. I wish some people really knit very even and nice and tight and looks like it's machine knit, but that is not me. Unfortunately. Ooh, difficult word. On the tin can knit pattern, the flax pattern, you have garter stitches on the arms. I don't want that, so I'm only knitting stockinette, and I also use different increases for the body, and I also have 4 stitches in between my increases. And I use, instead of a knit front back, I use left and right leaning increases. Yeah, I don't know if this will be any good. Maybe it will be a flop, who knows. Maybe I will have too little yarn. I will knit in some stripes of this. I don't know if I'm going to have thin stripes or thick stripes or whatever, but I will try. If it becomes a flop, that's okay, because this is just yarn that I had in my stash. This is scraps from, or it's not scraps, it's a whole ball of yarn, but left over from other projects. So I think it's fun to just try and make something out of it, and if it's don't turn out good, that's okay too. But if it turns out okay, that's very fun. Last year I had an annual plan for the whole year. Yeah, just trying to knit up yarn I had in my stash, which I already had plans for. And I did a summary it's this first episode of every month on how that was going. And I still want to do a summary at the start of each month this year as well, but just in a different way. I want to tell you about a quick recap of the FOs that I've done in the month before. And I want to tell you how much yarn I bought in grams and how much I knitted out in the month before. So, and I will see how much is the difference between what I have bought and what I have knitted. So I won't I won't count all the yarn that I have in my stash. I only want to count the yarn that I buy versus the yarn that I knit out, just to see, yeah, the difference. Will I increase a lot in this area, or will I manage to keep them almost leveled? yeah. So if that's for you, you are so welcome to listen to my numbers. And if you don't think numbers are fun, I totally understand, and feel free to just skip to the next chapter of this episode. Yeah. And also I want to do a quick disclaimer. I know I've said it many times. I do have a lot of knitting time. So I might have a lot of FOs in a month. But I don't want anyone to feel any pressure in any way. Because some of you have more knitting time than me. Some of you have less. And that's just how life is. So I don't want anyone to feel any pressure at all. I just have to say it. So my FOs last month was 1 sweater, 1 shawl, 3 hats, 1 pair of mittens, 1 cowl, and 3 pairs of socks. So a lot of small things, which is good. I don't need a lot of big things really, or big garments. I bought yarn in weight, 2025 grams. A lot of that is for the Mamba dress. I have 20 balls of yarn for that. So that's most of the yarn that I bought last month. And that is actively being used, which is good. I knitted up 1193.8 grams of yarn. So the amount that will go into February with me is 831.2 grams of yarn. But as I say, I am actively using that yarn now, so I'm really happy about that. So I'm excited to see how this will change in February, and excited to see, can I keep up with what I get in and what I knit up. Yeah. Let's talk about some Yarnjoy and some plans. I have not bought any yarn in February so far, but I got a sweet gift in the mail from one lovely viewer who sent me a lot of their scrap yarn for my Sweet Shop blanket by Laura Penrose. Because I said last time that I had I didn't know what to use anymore in my blanket because my scraps was either too small or too big. And of course I can take from the big scraps, but there might be like 70 or 80 grams of fingering yarn left, which I can use for bigger things. So it's a bit not so much fun to take 10 grams of that and use. I feel like that are scraps that I want to use for socks or other things. So this lovely viewer sent me a parcel of 10 grams of fingering weight yarn for my blanket, and that was so sweet. I was so happy and appreciative. So I think it's the row on the top here is all yarn that I got in the mail. So thank you so much. And I'm almost done with this blanket now. I want to knit 1 more row, so I think that is 7 more squares. So 1 more week of knitting and I'm done with my Sweet Shop blanket, which is very exciting. I was going to tell you that I had a plan to use my Drops Flora yarn for something, but I already showed you that I cast that on. I couldn't wait for you to have it as a plan. I just had to cast it on. And I want to knit the Eva cardigan really soon. But you know, I change my mind all the time. So I might tell you that it's a plan, but I might change my plans. So we'll see. Right now I think I have enough on my needles. So we'll see. But suddenly I just get that urge to cast on. So that's just the way it is. Okay guys, last time I told you I wanted to do a giveaway because I had passed 1,000 subscribers. So I have done a random comment picker to give out some thank you gifts, appreciation for you being here and for subscribing. And I wanted to gift 3 patterns for 3 of you. So I have done a random comment picker. The first one is going to guess the pattern from the Bluebird box. You can choose whatever pattern you want, as long as it's like one pattern, not an ebook or something like that. So just to all of you winners, who I will tell very soon who is, just contact me on Ravelry preferably. My Ravelry name will be in the information box below. I can also write it on the screen here. And yeah, it would be nice if you link the pattern that you want, so I can give you the pattern that you want, so I don't mistake or do any mistakes. That would be good. Or you can contact me on Instagram and tell me your Ravelry name and what pattern you want. So the first one that wins a pattern from the Bluebird box is Woolly Kind Knits. Congratulations! The next winner can choose a pattern from Lauren in Work Knits. She has a few patterns out. I've knitted the Time to Deep Compress socks and her From Farm to City shawl, and I can recommend both of them. I think she's coming out with a new pattern tomorrow, which is a beautiful cowl. So you can choose one of her patterns, and that is Mary Bode 8042. So congratulations to you. And the last winner will get the Cozy Hygge Socks pattern from Ina Knits, and that is Gabrielle Weber 4665. I will put all of the screenshots up on here so you can see your name. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong, but yeah, congratulations to all of you. And I just again want to thank all of you for being here, for spending some of your precious time listening to me talk about knitting. I so appreciate all of you. And I know I say it every time, but I'm going to keep saying it because it means a lot to me to be able to share my joy for knitting with someone else who loves knitting as much as I do. So thank you for all your thumbs up, for your beautiful and encouraging comments, for your knitting help, for your help with words. I appreciate all of you and all of your love. It means so much. If you're not already subscribed, but you had a nice time today, please consider subscribing. That makes me so happy, and it makes me being able to share my joy for knitting to more people. So yeah, okay, I don't think there is anything else. I feel I have been talking for a while, and I know that I need some lunch. my stomach tells me so. So I think I will say goodbye. Take care, happy knitting, and I will talk to you in a couple of weeks. Bye, friends.
29 and I find myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again. It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set the rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours again. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 give something from